stock market is going to move crazy today. And we got some good news, but also maybe not good market moving news over the weekend that can move certain stocks like Apple and Nvidia. And we kind of have SPY kind of just up and down right now, kind of bouncing between the 544 and the 539 level, just bouncing up and down. You can make some calls and puts based on that, but let's talk about Apple and Nvidia. So we did have a big bounce up. You guys seen it finally broke that 200 level that we've been kind of battling for a couple of days, but we finally broke that 200 level and it spiked all the way up to 210. And that is what I told you guys. I told you guys this literally over the weekend that we're going to break up to that $210 level, and we did. But now we are breaking down, and I kind of recommended to a certain amount of people that once it breaks up to here, we can play to the downside too. And as you guys seen, I mean, we already fell almost $5 already, and maybe even coming back down to that 200 level. We might get down to that 200 level, and you might see a little bounce upwards, and or we might break through it and just kind of battle it out once again. Just fight around that 200 level. But with that being said, this and also Nvidia moved a decent amount, but Nvidia went up like what, $3 or $4. We're at that 110 level now. We're at like 115 to that 114, and we're also falling down. But the news is basically they're exempt, especially in China, which was Nvidia's and Apple's like reasoning of going down, especially Apple, because majority of their devices is made in China. But with that being said, it's not really following news anymore. We're kind of just getting a big sell off with that, because now I think Trump came out afterwards saying basically that it's not really 100% going to be a thing, but it kind of is too. But he kind of said that chips is kind of excluded, so that's why you seen the video not really move too much. We're going to be looking at some news with that and just actual articles. But for Apple, to the downside, I'll look at that 204 level. And then below that 204, I look at 202.5, 201, and that 200 level is going to be key. Please look at 200 level, because if we break below that, we might even get down to 97 to that $95 level. Back up to the upside, I'll be looking at that 208.45, and then actually below that 207.5, and then that 208, and then the 210 level, and then the highs of 212.93. But check out 211.5 first, and then up past that, if we can break some new highs, look at that 215 and that 220 next. For the SPY right now, we're kind of up and down, like I said, a little bit. We are kind of playing it on news, but we're not really getting too many headlines right now. But to the upside, 542, 542.7, 543.5, and the highs of 544.48. Past that, look at 546 and then 550. To the downside, I will be looking at that 541 level, and then that 540.6 level, 540, and then that 539.2 level to the downside. Another stock that I told you guys about on Friday, I believe, was Alibaba. And the thing about this one is that we were moving pretty low for the price range. If you look at it from the 4-hour time frame, let's zoom out a little bit. We were all the way up almost that 150 level, and now we're trading around that 114. And we were kind of there a few months ago, and then kind of just consolidating around here. You probably see it at the $80 level. But I tried to tell you guys, especially load up on your long term, but even some short term plays you could have been made out of this, and you can also see it back up to the upside. But just watch some decent levels. So that 118, that 122, that 127.16, and that 137.16, and then 140. So look at these levels to the upside. Back down to the downside, I will be looking at that 112, and then below that 107.73, 104, and that $100 level is going to be key. We break below that $100 level, some bigger levels to look at, 95, $80 is going to be a key level. If we break below that, I mean, there's just a lot of room to move downwards. But I do recommend having Baba on your radar. This is a China stock, so keep that in mind if you guys don't want to trade, other stocks or just have a problem with that. But just wanted to kind of show you guys this one to kind of show you guys more. So the heat map, we're looking okay, decently green, but I mean, market opened like an hour ago, so this can always change, especially getting some news. The weekly, we're up a decent amount on a lot of stocks: Google, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. Nvidia's up almost 30%, which is insane, and some other stocks over 10%, which is insane too. So just understand that we are going back up, but at the same time, with the stocks being up this much, it can go down that fast too. It goes down even faster sometimes. So keep that on your mind. We're not in the clear right now with the trade war, so it can always change. So some news. So Meta says it will resume AI training with public content from European users. So Meta overall, they got the AI, they got kind of like ChatGPT, kind of similar to it, but yeah. So most active stocks, Let's go look at that. NVIDIA, of course, Palantir, Apple, Intel, Tesla. We could be looking at Palantir a little bit later. One thing that I like about Palantir is that it's been holding pretty strong. I told you guys to buy it at around that $70 to $80 level. So if you guys would have bought it there, you guys would have been good, even through this volatility. The lows is like 65, especially if you can get it down to like that 65 to that $70 level. You guys are good for your long term. Right now at that $90 level, I don't recommend buying it yet, unless we just start going up even more. But I think next levels to the upside is like that 100 level, 110, 115, 120. Back down to the downside, I'm looking at that 90, that 85, that 80, and then that 75, 70, and then that, of course, that 65. If we break below that 65, a lot of long terms is going to be ruined, but I don't think it will break below that 65. It's been holding pretty strong, but anything can happen. Trump's just looking at tariffs on chips, electronics, supply chain, denies exemptions. So it's kind of what we were talking about before. He kind of just said that, he kind of sounded mad on his social media, but basically kind of like underhyping it. So honestly, if he didn't come out with this, you would have probably seen Apple at that 220 to that 250, honestly breaking up, and probably even more green, and the SPY green overall, because you would have seen NVIDIA and Apple breaking up. But he did come out with it that it does still have that 20% tariff, which isn't as bad as that 140% tariff. I mean, this is actually better than it would have been, but at the same time, it's not better than, being exempt in total, so, but it is 20% on chips, phones, everything like that. It's basically just a fentanyl tariff that we had before. So basically, earnings guidance, they're kind of trying not to do it this time because of the tariffs, the uncertainty, and everything like that. So I don't know how the market's really going to be looking because of this, but it's just a possibility. Not really 100% yet, but just understand, especially going into earnings season, a lot of people might not bring out their guidance. There's another one that came out. So basically saying that the tariff exemptions are on tech are temporary. So basically saying that anything can be added. So keep this on your mind too, because honestly, I think the exemption is probably the best news that we could have gotten. So overall, like even if they come out with something small, like a 50% tariff, 60% tariff, even like, I don't know, confirming the 20% tariff, this can bring Apple, Nvidia, and other tech stocks down, and the SPY overall, just because we already got like the great news. Like this is probably the best news that you could have gotten. And then now, unless they say like it's exempt or 0% tariffs, I don't think any tech stocks will rally from any news from this. So basically saying that the temporary thing, basically saying that we can get bad news any second. So if you guys are into some, swing trades or anything like that, keep that in your mind, because any news can come out any second and just kill your trade and probably even ruin your bank account, not bank account, but trading account basically. But let's go into the 5-minute time frame, tell you guys some more levels. So we already told you guys SPY and Apple. Let's go into NVIDIA. So I don't think I did NVIDIA yet, but in case we haven't, I'll be like that 113 level, 114.11, 114.6, and 115 level. And if we break above that, look at that 120 level. It's going to be key. Look at that 110 level. 110 is going to be key. Might even get some bearish trend going on. MACD, bouncing below the VWAP and everything like that. Having some good volume. We could bounce below that. Maybe even get down to that 108, 107. And that 105 is going to be next. And that $100 level is next after that. But only if we keep breaking down or get some bad news. Especially some bad news if you're like, oh, never mind, I'm going to have the 140% tariff on chips. You might even see NVIDIA break down past that $100 level instantly, like legitimately. I'm not even kidding. So yeah, next one is Tesla. Tesla is kind of moving a little bit up and down, and it's more faster to say, you get a down, up, down. So we might even try and retest the 260. And if we can break above that, we can look a little bit bullish. And if not, to the downside, we might even break that 255 level. And then if we break below that, I mean, you're going to see more movement to the downside, but just watch those two levels up or down. It's kind of just like a little bit of a wedge kind of forming, and then really just see how it's moving, honestly. Amazon's doing okay. We kind of had a big bounce downwards, but then we're kind of just building up slowly. You take the elevator down, stairs up. So that might be what we're having, where this is the overall VWAP. I got to change my indicator. I had to reset everything, but basically it's the normal VWAP, and we're kind of just bouncing off that right now. But I think, honestly, with the momentum we have upwards, I think we can break past the VWAP, but don't quote me on that yet. You'll probably see this faster than me. I'm recording this video hour after market opens. I'm probably just going to record it, or y'all might see this in 30 minutes after I'm recording it. With that being said, look at the 186 level, 186.4, 187.5, 188.4, and that 190 level to the upside for Amazon. To the downside, 182.6, 181.5, and that 180 level to the downside. It's kind of crazy. Amazon was doing great. having some highs. You know, what was it like 250? No, 230. I was gonna say 230. Oh no, high of 242, and it was doing insanely well. But now, man, we're all the way down to the 180. So honestly, man, it's kind of sad to see it go, but at the same time, it's a good long-term stock, especially Amazon. I don't think Amazon's ever going to go away. Cloud computing, everything that they got, it's just insane stock and just the time to buy in, you know? So let's go over to Bitcoin. We did kind of get some news for Bitcoin, but I mean, I don't think it's really that good or that bad. But we are at that 84,000 level. Let's get a little zoomed out to kind of show you guys where we were at a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, we were at the 83. We kind of broke above that $70,000 level, I think last week. So we are doing pretty good. I'm not going to say we're looking bullish overall, but 85 is pretty decent. And we might even have some room to finally meet the $90,000 level once again. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying overall. But MSTR and Coinbase and IBIT are three good stocks to look at. So, one, let's look at MSTR. We recently just got some news that they basically bought some more. I think their average cost is like 82,000 or yeah, 82,000, I think right here. I think it might be this one. So basically, they bought some more Bitcoin between April 7th and April 13th, and it was basically $285 million. So basically, this is what I had before. Just didn't show the average cost, but their average of, I think it's just between this area. They bought at 82,618. I don't know what their overall average is, but this is pretty decent, especially if you see the stock go up to like 90,000. I mean, they're making a decent amount of money. So yeah, so this is a recent purchases with Bitcoin, so it can bring up their stock. So now, White House, they're saying US can't rely on China for semiconductors, phones, and laptops. So basically, with this exemption coming out and stuff like that, it's making people realize, like, oh my God, we need China, to be honest. And honestly, with this trade war and everything like that, I think it's coming up with a lot of tensions between China and the US. And honestly, we're trying to be dependent or independent, basically, not need China, but with this being said, seeing how the market's reacting and how some businesses are reacting, it shows that we need China, especially for China or for Apple, basically, and NVIDIA, just for the profits and building cheaper devices. This is one that I've seen. A New York bill proposes legalization of Bitcoin. So basically, you can use crypto for state payments. So this can bring Bitcoin up, like we've seen before, that $85,000 level. You got to see because people are going to be investing into it, so making money, and also people are going to be adding money to it so they can actually buy things if they're interested in that. So it can bring Bitcoin's price up a decent amount. Another thing, BlackRock. So basically saying I see more as a buying opportunity than a selling opportunity. So I agree to disagree, you know, because you can always make lower lows and you can also see a bigger market sell off, especially with the news. But with everything that's going on also with the trade war, I feel like we're kind of not really at the end game of the trade war, but I think we already seen the worst that we can see, probably, especially with China saying that this is the most tariff that they'll do before it really affects trade a lot. And they're kind of just saying that they're going to stop at the percentage that they're at. I think it's like 120 or something like that. But you can also see like war or something going on, and that can make the stock market worse. But I think right now we're in that phase of the stock market, especially seeing how the weekly went up almost 30%, 10% on certain stocks. I think that we might have hit a temporary bottom. You know, we can still make lower lows, right? But if you would have bought it before, like last week when we were all red, that would have been a perfect time to buy. I think right now, not really. Just have your patience because you might make some new lower lows. But if you bought it last week, that would have been the perfect time to buy, in my opinion. I mean, it can always go lower, but I think that time, especially if you just hold it for a year to 10 years, I mean, I think there's no excuse not to buy it at that point, especially with the market down, being down even more, you know? But Netflix is testing AI powered search engine. So this might be good. It's powered by OpenAI, but I think this would be better for Netflix. But at the same time, I don't really know if AI search is really going to help. Not even going to lie. So it might not, but I don't know why it would. It's not like you're trying to look up, you know, YouTube videos or something. I think YouTube, that'd be a little bit better because YouTube can find you the best video, or maybe your search is incorrect and YouTube or AI can help you search for a better thing, and or it can like recommend things. But I think OpenAI for Netflix, I don't know, it might just be money spent, you know, extra money, you know. TSMC first quarter profit likely soared, but Trump policies cloud outlook. So basically, analysts are expecting 54% quarterly profit raise to 10.7 billion, but Trump has praised TSMC, also threatened it with taxes. So honestly, just keep in mind, man, the earnings call is 6 a.m. basically Thursday. So you can see the stock go up, especially people hyping it up. But at the same time, people can hype up a stock pre-earnings and then it goes down. Another thing is the decline in SPY has been more severe than the medium bear market at this point in the sell-off. So this is where we are right now. It's where like a normal bear market would be. Maybe not a normal one, but just kind of just where we're at. Even right here, it's been down, up, and then down even more, especially with the tariffs and everything like that. Uptrend kind of looks a little bit off too, but at the same time, we kind of balanced out towards the end. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a great day trading. Hope everything goes well for you guys. Comment down below any plays that you made, how much money you guys made. You guys can even put percentages. You don't gotta like really say how much money. But good luck trading. Be safe. Have a plan. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.